Why would a woman on Hinge match and want to text but refuse a video call on the app?
Catfishing.
Fish. Or is it a woman?
Yeah, I noticed, when Hinge came out years ago, I was on there, and there was a high incidence of women that were basically prostitutes on there. And the reality is that if somebody's serious and they're looking to meet somebody and date somebody, you're going to send a few messages back and forth, and then at some point you're going to move off the app to texting, and then the texting should turn into a phone call or ideally a FaceTime call. Because if you're doing FaceTime or Skype or something like that, then you can see her, you can read her body language, and you can tell whether or not the conversation flows. Because if you can't, the conversation doesn't flow through the phone or through video, then it's not going to flow in person. So especially, because I've seen instances where guys are like texting for months and they're getting pictures, but the woman refuses to talk on the phone and she refuses to do any kind of video calls. And like me personally, when I've met women from other countries that I didn't know through social media because they slid into my DMs, usually within a message or two, we're on a video call together talking. And that's a non-issue. If you're like 3-4 months down the road and you're messaging constantly, you still don't have her phone number and you've never talked to her on the phone, you've never actually heard her voice, just like Erica said, you're probably being catfished.
That happened to me a couple of years ago. It was like back when Tinder was like really big and everybody was on Tinder. And I matched with this guy and he was so good looking, like dark hair, Italian, beautiful, like beautiful guy. And I was like, then we started like chatting and stuff and we're gonna like set a date. And I was like, are you sure like where, that's you, Because when somebody's like that attractive, you're like, why are you on here?
Too good to be true.
So I literally, that's when he was like, look, I got you. So he FaceTimed me and thank God it was him.
Thank God.
Yeah. But it's when instances like that, I'm sure, because even the show, you watch the show or whatever and you get like curious, like, well, maybe I'm being catfished.
What's the show where there was a guy that was talking to supposedly a woman for multiple years?
It was on one of the 90-Day Fiancés. It was a 4-year relationship that he was getting catfished, but then the producers found the woman.
Was it a woman or a dude?
They found the woman for him, and then she actually met him in Denver, and she like felt bad for the poor guy. I think
she didn't.
Was he sending her money and stuff?
He sent the catfish some money.
Oh,
so he found the real person.
The catfish was using somebody else's pictures and stuff.
Yeah, because she's actually like a porn star or whatever it is. She's like an internet something.
Yeah, so this dude's
Camp
4 years in, sent countless
Never got
thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Well, you gotta use your common sense with that. And somebody doesn't want to see you, or you don't want the other person to see you. It's
he was like infatuated and in love with the persona of the image and the love story that was created for the 4 years.
I remember the guy. He was like an unhealthy.
Yeah, guy. But he was taking care of his sick mom.
Yeah,
and he like stopped working, and it was, I felt really bad for him in his situation.
Yeah,
it was sad.
Yeah, that's horrible to do that to somebody, to do that for 4 years. But that's the kind of shit that Andrew Tate was doing. They have these pretty girls on video, and the keyboards aren't even plugged in, and it's one of his guys that works for him. It's typing away, and the whole thing is to get the guy emotionally anchored to that woman and in love, because we make our decisions based on emotions, and then we use logic and reason to justify it. And so when those guys get hooked emotionally, like this dude in the 90-Day Fiancé thing, their emotions override all of their logic. And a guy like that, dude's severely overweight, he's got no game, he probably has no social life, he's taking care of his mom, and for him, it's an easy way to meet somebody. At least that's what he thought. And so he's 4 years down the road and never once heard her voice or talked on the phone or seen her on video at all, and yet he's getting fleeced for money. And it's funny, like the comments I see in the video that we did talking about Andrew Tate is, you see a lot of, oh well, girls do it to guys all the time, and it's like he's getting catfished by somebody that doesn't exist, and that's what Andrew Tate was doing, and laughing about how he had guys pulling all the equity out of their houses because the women that they were talking to, which is actually just his male employees are facilitating all this to basically get these guys to part with their money. And on the Full Send podcast, they were like, did you feel guilty about it? And he's just like, fuck no, he didn't care. He didn't care who he screwed over, took advantage of. And then I've seen people in the comments say, well, now he's remorseful about it. It's like, well, he was just a few months ago on several different podcasts laughing about it and saying how he didn't give a shit, and now he's remorseful. It's like, I don't think so at all. That's just who his character is. It's not a good dude. Even though we may agree with a lot of things he says, a lot of things when he talks about relationships and women, he's spot on. But, screwing people over, and that's a horrible thing to do to another human being. And he did it on a massive scale to the tune, I guess, of like tens of millions.
That's
tens of millions of dollars. Probably hundreds of dudes, maybe thousands of guys that he fleeced over the years, and he has no remorse. So there are people out there that will do that. So at the end of the day, if you're going to talk to somebody if you're not talking on the phone after a few messages, it's probably a catfish. It's not worth it.